All right. What's up, guys? It's Matt here, and let's ignore the hair color for now and focus on what has been presented to us. I'm sorry I'm a little late. I did want to do a video on this, but let's get to it. Wild Totem discontinuation and Star Force enhancement cost reduction. We all know why you're here. Let's go over it and let's talk about it a little bit, okay? Hi, Maplers. We'd like to provide a status update regarding Wild Totems, which many of you have been curious about since our adjustments to Kana's Kishin Shokan skill. As previously mentioned in the Maple memo, we made adjustments to the Kishin Shokan skill to align with the overall direction of the game by changing the spawn enhancing effects from the skill to a 10% additional EXP effect. In the same update as the Kishin Shokan skill changes, Star Force enhancement costs were reduced by 20% in cumulative enhancement costs based on the 24 enhancement, as we understood that spawn enhancing effects had a large role in meso acquisition, and we hope to alleviate the difficulty of the transition by reducing the cost in the area where most mesos are spent by players. In alignment with those changes to the Kishin Shokan skill, Wild Totems will be discontinued in the next upcoming update. Ignition, November 16th. As we've done when Kishin Shokan skill was changed to no longer provide spawn enhancing effects, we will further reduce the Star Force enhancement cost by an additional 20% when discontinuing Wild Totems. There will be some changes made to the Fairy Bros daily gifts reward to reflect the discontinuation of Wild Totems. The below changes to Fairy Bro daily gifts rewards will be reflected starting November 1st, 2022. Damn, so like this is the only month left that we're gonna have of totems. We're not gonna be able to buy them after a monthly reset in November. Day 8 now will provide a Mega Burninator, and day 10 and day 19 will provide 2x coupons, an hour of 2x, right? The discontinuation of Wild Totems is currently scheduled to be implemented with our November update, tentatively scheduled for November 16th. Wild Totems that are already in players' inventory prior to the November update will remain usable with their current functionality until the item expires. Any Wild Totem coupons without an expiration date will be usable until the end of the year, December 31st. Thank you, the Maple Story team. So... a lot of people have been sounding off on this. It's actually pretty crazy, right? A lot, you know, people supporting it, a lot of people against it, mostly Reboot against this, right? Because Reg server has Frenzy Totem, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit, right? I think personally that it's a good change moving forward. I know, you know, L take, whatever, you know, you might say. Moving forward, I think players will adjust to this change, right? And we'll still be able to continue enjoying the game. I think reducing Star Force cost by another 20% is awesome. That's not the only thing though, right? When we're talking about totems and spawn enhancing, that's not like the only thing that is being affected. But again, we'll get to that in a second. I just think like this part here, it's a little bit disingenuous because I feel like this was already going to happen at some point, right? Because KMS got this change. Maybe this needed to happen because we have those Wild Totems in the slots that otherwise would have been, you know, with these instead. So, you know, another way to look at it is that, like, you know, like this needed to happen in order for these to be implemented into Fairy Bros. I'm just saying, like you know, they didn't just remove totems just so they can add these, right? But they were going to remove them, so they needed to adjust accordingly. And now we can have these, right? But in my opinion, I think it's a little bit disingenuous to just say that they're going to now be adding these, right? Because of Wild Totem removal. I think eventually we would have got these regardless, right? And they could have just removed something else, right? Instead of Wild Totems from the daily Fairy Bro gifts. But that's like, you know, again, that's my opinion. You guys can let me know what you think down below. Now let's just talk about this further, right? And what this potentially means. And I have some tabs here that we can kind of go over and read. from some other people in the community. All right, so I have this like little notepad here that I made. Doesn't have a lot to it, but it's some thoughts here, right? That we can kind of go over. First, let's go over some cons, right? Waiting for mob spawn is boring. Progression is going to be too slow, right? That's the first point that I wrote down. It's true, right? On one hand, right, and this is going to be mainly from like a reboot standpoint, right? But we're not gonna like the fact that we're just gonna have to wait for mobs to have to spawn. I don't think this is going to be that big of an issue though. And I put this under a con, but I think people are kind of like misunderstanding, because this again is what people are saying, right? Is that your approach is going to be a little bit different without spawn enhancers, right? It will probably still be slower, but not as slow as you think, okay? The only reason why you are thinking this is because you are thinking about training in the same spots you are currently without the totem, right? There are other maps available that are probably going to be better for you to go to without having a spawn enhancer in the game, right? The big thing though is familiars and node stones, right? Which, you know, it's like the elephant in the room. You can't really ignore this. Wild totems does not just only affect your EXP and meso rates, okay? While that is important, especially for GMS, we have familiars and node stones, right? Node stones are going to become even worse to obtain, leading many like early game players, or even people like thinking about, you know, like joining the game, coming back, to maybe like reconsider that, right? Because of how much slower it's already slow on a totem, right? With a bunch of drop rate. Let me tell you that on a Kana with 350% or 370% drop, I'm only getting about 30 to 35 nodes an hour, right? And that was at LH6, right? On my Kana. Now, you know, again, it's going to be an adjustment, but it's going to be significantly slower, right? And that's for someone like completely juiced up, right? Can't wait for people to be complaining about only getting like one node stone every hour or whatever. Familiars are super important for GMS, right? Because KMS does not have this, and node stones are already in reboot, are already significantly, like, it's super annoying to deal with, okay? The RNG to even get a boss familiar or like even like a higher IED familiar, large drop, it's already super annoying, and obviously huge amounts of RNG involved into it. And now, I mean, it's not hard to get 3 IED familiars since you can get that on common, but you know, like the idea of like boss fams or whatever, I think people are going to have to kind of drop that, right? I mean, again, it's RNG at the end of the day, but like now it's just like an even like, you know, farther kind of like goal and like dream to like really get to with the removal of wild totems. And then as a con, yes, frenzy totem in reg server is a con, right? There's going to be an imbalance now between reboot and reg server. And I don't want people attacking each other, you know, reboot versus reg server. I want this to be like an open discussion, right? And as a part of Bean Brigade, I want you to like really like put your thoughts down in the comments down below, because this video will be forwarded to the next on team, whatever that means, right? You can take it as you will, but like, you know, like I just want you guys to know that this will be seen by someone, right? Probably Ezra, and you know, I want you guys to give, you know, solid feedback about this situation. And you know how you are taking it essentially. But frenzy totem in reg server, yeah, bro, reboot's losing their wild totems and just reg server gets to keep spawn enhancing. I think frenzy totem is next, honestly. You know, they've removed this item from being obtainable for years. It's been a couple of years now, and they could really just, you know, that level 300 cap. They could reduce it even further. What's there to stop them? Sorry that I'm fumbling my words. What's there to stop them from that 300 to making it down to 200? Right? Like frenzy totems could just be unavailable for use starting at Arcane River, you know, and higher. They can do that. What's stopping them? Right? Nothing. It doesn't matter that this item is worth a lot to them, right? Because they're not getting those benefits, right? Um, like they don't care in terms of that. This item is no longer obtainable in the game. Whatever is left in the game, they can completely destroy it if they choose to. And this is kind of maybe a wake up call to reg server that frenzy totems might be next, right? It's going to be significantly easier to just grind in reg server. It's going to feel a lot better, right? Like that feel, you know, of it being boring for waiting for stuff. But you know, reg server will be able to just take advantage, you know, of that just of spawn enhancers and you know, it's easier legion and whatnot. So yeah, it is going to cause this imbalance, and I'm really curious to see what they will do about this. I obviously, as a frenzy totem owner, I don't want them to. I don't think they're going to remove it, but they just make it a totem that like just gives those stats, right? And that's it. Like, you know, they're gonna remove the effect of the frenzy totem and just have it be a totem, you know, with stats, right? They could do that, or they could even like buff the base stats. I don't know if they do that as compensation. But yeah, as a frenzy totem owner, this is this worries me, right? And it should for every other frenzy totem owner in the game. So those are some of the things that I kind of came up with on the spot. Nothing like not too crazy of a list, but yeah, that's just cons. In terms of pros, right? Let's talk about this. You no longer need to wait to train only on totems. No more pressure to finish 15 to 17 totems a month. Okay, people can kind of just do whatever they want now, and you know, be a bit more casual about it. You know, it's like this compulsion to it's FOMO. It's literally FOMO. Okay, sorry. You no longer have to feel like you need to do something anymore, and now just kind of you can pop your buffs whenever you want, you know, like even just for like coin capping or something, you know, like 15 minutes 30 minutes, right? You can just pop them whenever you want. No more like holding maps or, you know, whatever. That's maybe like my next point, right? Current best in slot maps, you know, just examples: 1-4-1-5, super popular in Limina, right? Will no longer be monopolized. You know, maybe like, you know, I don't notice, obviously, speculation, you know, spreadsheets, you know, people have that in Reboot. There's going to be more viable options now to grind on, right? And it's just a matter of changing your approach to the game. You're no longer going to be farming on these smaller to medium-sized maps and instead going for larger maps, and it's going to be different per class, you know. There might be viable options for, like, you know, the majority of classes, but it's going to be different for your class, and you got to find what works for you in a way that you can rotate through a map, and by the time you finish a circle or a square, you know, the mobs will be back, right? And your rates will be good. They will. And not everyone has this like super end game mentality to the game, right? That and we're gonna kind of get this into this. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We're gonna get into this in the next like bookmark that I have here, right? But I'll save that for later, right? And then I also wrote down here that the overall toxic mindset of totem or bust will be gone, and people can just freely play the game. I think that kind of tied into my first point. But yeah, you can just kind of like enjoy the game, right? And grind whenever. You don't have to feel pressured to really, you know, like do this every month, right? You know, not people don't like grinding off of totems. If that really is the end for them in, you know, for the game, and you know, they just can't live without spawn enhancers, I understand, right? I don't like grinding off totem, right? But it's just going to be this like it's just about changing the approach. You know, it's a shift in mentality. And I feel like people that are like they're really like, you know, emotionally speaking right now, you will. I'm not saying, I don't say you will, but I feel like people are making too big of a deal about this, and it's not as bad as it's going to seem, okay, or as it seems. Again, just my opinion, right? Let me know what your thoughts. For sure. Now, what can Nexon do, right? I have this as well. What can they do, right? One thing they could do is increase the base spawn of mobs, right? We've been talking about this for ages, right? But now with the removal of wild totems, right? And potentially if they disable frenzy totems, right? I wrote this as unlikely because I really do think that it's unlikely, but this might be something to consider, right? Like legitimately consider at this point, right? Nexon can add familiar cards to places that don't have them, and they really should. Again, how long has it been now since they revamped it, and there's still no update to, like, additional familiars in the Arcane River and Grandis. Cernium, Burning Cernium, Arcus, with like the best in slot maps, like in Limina, right? But we've been talking about this for even like with totems for a while now. Like, why aren't there, like, you're penalizing people for reaching the end game, right? People are legitimately staying in Limina because they can't farm familiar, because familiars are so annoying to deal with in the first place, right? They're choosing to stay there for worse EXP rates because they want boss familiars, right? Because that's really good in terms of your character progression in the game, right? Or even just getting a large drop familiar, right, for that extra 100% drop rate. Arcane River, VJ, Choo-Choo, Latch, Arcana, right? I think that's it. Maybe like you can even include like, Reverse City, I don't know. Does Celis have, I don't think Celis has familiars either. And Yum Yum Island. But add familiars to those places. So again, you don't penalize players for grinding in certain areas, right? This is a GMS system, right? Or other places too, but we have this in GMS. KMS doesn't have this. It should be dealt with and added to accordingly, so people can enjoy the game more, right? Buyable node stones for Meso and Reboot, whether it like has a cap, you can only buy like 100, 200 a week, make that per character, right? Node stones are going to be significantly harder to obtain. And I think something should be done about this, for again, this is mostly for Reboot, right? Because Reg server is a little bit different. And then red familiar cards, again, this goes back to adding them in the first place, right? It's so difficult to deal with familiars in Reboot. What I've always been saying on stream is that we don't even need legendary familiars. Like, it's not really even necessary for Reboot, right? You can make a new familiar card, a Reboot familiar card, that caps out unique, right? And people are just going to be able to cube 2-line unique fams, right? And that will be good enough. That will still, like, it's still better than not having red familiar cards at all, which you could say is not like a very good argument, but like that's still going to be really good to have, right? Than just not having it all. And I think at this point, with the discontinuation and removal of wild totems, that is something that Nexon really should consider, right? Because that's going to make the game feel a lot better, right? Even with like the reduced meso income, right? And like EXP, right, from losing totems. So that's kind of like what I wrote. Again, let me know what you think down below about anything that I say, or just like your own thoughts about this whole situation, right, that's going on now. Let's talk about a couple of things here. Like people, they have already voiced their opinions, obviously, and I'm going to take some couple of content creators here and maybe give my own thoughts about this, right? So we have Perhapsity here. We have Jeff on Twitter saying totem discontinuation post November 16th. This is actually a really positive change for the game, and then he continues to clarify and add on to that. I actually agree with him. It is a very positive change for the game. And I will like that. First thing that he says is some pros, right? Star Force cost reduced. And Jeff is like all about numbers, right? He's really big about numbers. Why is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers trending? I think I know why Snuffy's trending. Okay, anyways. Star Force cost reduced to 60 or 64% of the original cost. I think this might even include like, the Star Force reduction we already have, right? That we already got with Kishin removal, right? And the change. That's insane, right? That's really good. But Star Force, like, that isn't the end all be all, right? It is the best way to like improve your character, right, and progress in the game. But that isn't the end all be all for a lot of players, right? Like we've mentioned, like, familiars, right, and node stones, right? So Star Force being better, we have a very like, you know, insane progression mindset, grind set, especially in reboot. So I understand, you know, like the topic of Star Force, and you know that being addressed immediately is nice, but that's not the end all be all for players in the game, especially for those that are more casual, right? You have to keep that in mind. No longer binding for players to save all their buffs for totems. Absolutely. No pressure to finish all of them per month. Absolutely. A fairer playing field, multi-accounting for totems is lost. Good, right? That's good. I'm not against like people like helping their friends and whatever with totems, but like, yeah, you know, like you're no longer gonna need a second computer like with the old Kishin meta to totem yourself, right? Bro, that's so stupid. Needing like, regardless of the reason, needing a second computer to give yourself an advantage in a game, right? I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, multi-accounting for totems is lost. Good, I agree with that. Mobbing, playing field leveled. I don't know what this means, honestly. Rob's stupid. I don't know what this means. But yeah, maybe like the amount of like kills per hour, you know, between classes, kind of gets. Maybe I don't know if this is what he's actually talking about, but the like the kills per hour, kind of it's more fair, like it'll be closer to each other, right? Between classes that can like mob extremely well and those that don't mob as well, or as well, right? Yeah, so maybe that's what he's talking about. Some more pros here. There's some speculation and opinion. KMS crystal prices have a higher chance to be imported. I mean, that's not, I don't think there's really anything wrong with the current KMS crystal prices, honestly. And again, the reason why like the whole like change happened to the like their particular change was because of the inflation, right, that happened in Korea, and we don't really have that here. So I don't think this will happen. Again, this is more like opinion and speculation that he's saying here. But sure, you know, would I be upset with that? Probably not. No, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be upset if we actually got the KMS changes. But right now, like the Meso income and boss mules, I think it's really good regardless. So I don't really have any problem with that. General level of play will increase. Players will take the game more seriously and farm correctly. I mean, again, like you might think about like the more end game players and more established players, but I think like for newer players coming back, even, and the more casual players, I don't know if the level of play will actually increase because of this, because our people are so attached to this mentality. And now Linus is trending. Oh my god, what did he say? The mentality that people have around totems is so toxic and so just like one-sided. I don't think there will be a level of play immediately, but maybe long term, yes, I would probably agree with that statement. And then you don't have to save your farming buffs for you to farm at any time. Yes, absolutely. You know, we mentioned that already. I do think that it is a great thing. Some cons here, right? Lower kill rate means less everything from farming. Meso, yeah. Meso experience, node stones, droplets, familiars. So we didn't even talk about droplets, but yes, you know, even droplets. But those are now buyable, right? In the shop, so it's not that big of a deal if you don't get droplets, because you can just use your Meso to buy that. But yes, absolutely. It does mean less everything, not just you know, regarding Star Force. Boss mules are a bit harder to bring up. 70% of drop rate on nodes due to kill rate decrease. Yes, I don't think, again, like the nodes don't have to be like the end all be all when it comes to like making a boss mule, but this might have like, people might reconsider what kind of boss mules they're going to make, you know. When it comes to, you know, they might lean more towards characters that they might not exactly like, because I want people to make boss mules they like, but you know, like more innately stronger characters, right? Because it's going to be an easier time to boss on them on a weekly basis. And it's a bit too late now. Yes, absolutely. Pandora's box with Kishin and now totem gap between players. More of a gap between players. It's a bit too late. I don't like, we've had this you know, mentality ingrained in us, and you know, like spawn enhancers for so long, and now all of a sudden you choose to remove this, right? it's not like, bro. Oh, why am I not even following Joe? I'm sorry, Jeff. I think I'm following his Xarius account. Yeah, I'm following his Osu account. But I'm not his Maple Story account. But I do agree. It's a little bit too late for this. I don't understand why now, right? But maybe we'll figure that out in the next couple of months here. Cons continue. The gap will increase between early and end game. Established accounts have a huge advantage at this point, though not unsurmountable. Catch up is possible, excluding legacy. Yes. There will always be someone ahead of you, someone that is playing this game a lot longer than you, has more time than you. This can be attributed to both the RAITH server and Reboot, right? There will always be someone ahead of you. Yes, you can catch up, right? There's always that possibility. There's a lot of RNG involved in this game. You can get extremely lucky, right? But it's not going to stop you from reaching that end game. If it means that it's going to take a little bit longer, I mean, guys, this is an MMO at the end of the day, okay? Take it in stride, play at your own pace, right? And you will get somewhere if you put in the time and the effort. RNG will fuck you, you know, along the way. But I think the overall experience, you know, if you average it out, it's not that bad, right? Improvements can be made. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's not perfect. Wait, hold on. I'm not saying it's perfect. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be as bad as people say it will be, right? The familiar system will be much worse. It's already 1 unique per hour, and it will be decreased to less than 1 per hour. Without cubes, you know, that's tough, man. That's tough. We need those red cubes, red familiar cubes in Reboot. And then he closes here and says, if you quit because of this change, you were not playing Maple Story to begin with. And I think because Jeff is so end game, right, and has like this mentality, this kind of makes sense to him, and maybe other people like, you know, that can resonate with that. But how gamers beat NFTs? Oh. Anyways. I think for like the average and more casual player, you know, some people literally just hop on, you know, to do their totems per month, right? People enjoy the game in different ways, right? And I don't think you can take that away from them, okay? People play the game differently than you. They play for different reasons, right? You can agree or disagree, right, on a lot of different things, but you know, I don't think you can really criticize and tell people, you know, how to play the game, right? That's kind of like what I think about that. We've had content creators like Sacrix here. You know, totems are dead. It's a good thing. You know, I think I heard him say and mention that, like, yeah, you know, like when it comes to like, you know, like your preferred maps to train at, this will be a culture shock, right? This will affect people, but ultimately you are going to now be looking at maps that are a bit different, you know, bigger, so you can actually get like a good rotation off and not have to, again, that kind of like goes against the argument, right? Like, oh, it's going to be boring now, I'm going to be waiting for mobs. Like, no, you can choose to find maps now, bigger maps that are going to be available that you can oh, rip that vulture, that are going to fit your rotation, so you don't have to wait for mobs, right? Will it be worse? Maybe. Will it be significantly worse? Probably not. It probably won't be significantly worse. All right. And then you have content creators here like Crane, right? Crane, bro, highest level person in Reboot, right? Level 289 on his way to 290. This guy already trains without totems, right? And bro, he's 289 and he's doing it well. Again, this is more from like an end game, you know, perspective and mentality, but like, you can play this game without totems, okay? It's not the end all be all. You know, as much as I hate the argument of like, if KMS can do it, why can't we, right? It is a different culture as well, right? Like we're not KMS, right? And a lot of us don't want to be KMS. Some of us that play do want to be exactly like KMS, right? And that's understandable. But you know, having totems and not having totems, it's not the end all be all. All right. And I don't know why he's all of a sudden buffering for me. Oop. But okay. Anyways, yeah. I don't think it's the end all be all. And you know, he clearly shows that it's very doable to do things without needing to rely on totems, right? For whatever you use it on. And now everyone's favorite content creator, we have Kobe here sharing his thoughts on the removal of wild totems in GMS. Let's have a listen here.
What's up, guys? This is Kobe here, and today I'm here to share my thoughts and my concerns about wild totems and their removal on a global Maple story. Me personally,
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. This is an absolutely W take. I think Kobe really nailed it on the head as to, you know, just the situation and, you know, what's going on and what can be done about it. I absolutely 100% agree. But all jokes aside, why the hell are you asking him, right? Like, he was playing Latel earlier. People were probably talking about it, right? Why are you why are you asking him? He doesn't play GMS. He plays KMS. Why does he care? You know? So like, that's my thoughts on this. Right? Like, so great video, good meme. I like it. I enjoy it. So, you know, that's kind of like going over, like, you know, some content creators here and like my thoughts about it, the whole situation. Overall, again, I think this is a good change, but we're going to have to see what else Nexon does aside from this, right? They are doing like this, you know, like daily fairy bros thing. They're reducing Star Force costs, right, by 20%. Again, but what else are they going to do, right? And only time will tell. We'll have to wait and find out. So hopefully it'll be good. They don't have the best track record, you know, over the years. But let's wait a little bit and see what else they have planned and what else is in store for the game with the removal of wild totems, which again mostly affects reboot, not so much reg server, but look out for those frenzy totems. That's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and you know, these are just kind of like, you know, my thoughts on the situation, because I know a lot of people are bound to ask, and I guess I can just like kind of lead them to this video if anything. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on stream. And yeah, I have pink hair now.